it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
Thanksgiving Day football is now in the rearview mirror, and we got some good quality football. It did not disappoint. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. I'm Adam Wright with Justin Tucker. Justin, we got some good football.
Yes, we did.
On this past Thursday. The Cowboys, that game it turned out to be a pretty solid one. We also had the Patriots and the Vikings with some controversy that we'll discuss. And among that, there was also the Bills-Lions. And of all games, that was probably the most entertaining of them all. But we want to lead off by talking about the Cowboys. But that aside, Tuck, how you doing? How was your Thanksgiving?
I'm doing all right. Not too bad. I had a good Thanksgiving. Had good food. Had some good games to watch. Yeah. Not bad at all. How about you?
You know what, man? When you get food and then you get football, there's nothing better, man. Especially when it's turkey, mashed potatoes, and stuffing. That's the big three right there. If you have that and then you put gravy on top of all of it, then you're set. You're set. You can watch some football, watch the Patriots lose in dramatic fashion. Although they should have won. There were some pretty bad calls in that game, and we'll discuss that in a bit. But I wanted to start it off by talking about the Cowboys. So they won their second game in a row, 28-20 versus the Giants. So they beat the Giants. The Giants are 7-3. They're no pushover. Although I had them losing in a landslide, and it was a lot closer because of Kayvon Thibodeau himself. I mean, you watched that game, practically every other play he was at or was close to getting to Dak Prescott. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one who forced both of those interceptions by Prescott. But on top of that, they won the past week where they faced the Minnesota Vikings, who were 8-1 in an impressive fashion, 40-3, was it? Did they get 3 points or was it 40-0? I believe they got 3.
They got 3.
Yeah. So this raises the question, and we asked this last year plenty of times, but the Cowboys, the problem is they haven't been to an NFC championship since 1996. And it's not like they've sucked over this span. They've been to the playoffs plenty of times, but haven't made the NFC championship. So, Tuck, is this finally the year where they can make a deep playoff run?
Hell no. Are we kidding? It's the Cowboys. What are we talking about here? They're an accident waiting to happen. They always do this. They look good at times and they look good at stretches. No matter who they are, they always come up short when it comes around playoff time. Either they don't make it or they come up just short of making the NFC Championship game. It's never been a question about talent. It's never been that question. But will they find a way to mess it all up in the end? And they will always do. I don't wish for them to mess it up. It's just in their DNA. I don't know what it is, but they just can't seem to get it done no matter what. Ever since 1996, they have not made an NFC Championship game. And I still don't see that happening until it actually happens. The Cowboys look good right now. They just abused the Vikings 40-3, and they got the job done against the New York Giants, even though they looked miserable in that first half of the game. Dak Prescott threw 2 interceptions in the first half. But he came through in the end. Congratulations to Dallas. But I'm still not overly confident in them because, again, the Giants are starting to show themselves. If Saquon Barkley isn't going, they kind of struggle to move the ball. So, yeah. But overall, Dallas looks solid, but I don't see them do anything in the playoffs. What are we doing here?
All right, listen, man. I did not expect this Cowboys team to be better than it was last year, but they might have accomplished just that. This Cowboys team leads the league in sacks, and their defense has been lights out all year long. And I didn't expect it. I didn't think the Cowboys defense would be this good. And on top of that, the running game is better than it was a year ago. It is. It's better. Tony Pollard is playing the best football of his life. And Ezekiel Elliott, he's not the same world beater that he once was, but he's still playing pretty good football. He's a good complement to Tony Pollard, and they're a good 1-2 punch. On the other end of things, Dak Prescott is still playing pretty good football, and God bless Cooper Rush for holding the fort down while Dak Prescott comes back from his injury. Because if they don't win those games with Cooper Rush in, we're not talking about this right now. We're not having this conversation about the Cowboys possibly making a run here. But they were able to figure it out. Dak Prescott's back and he's healthy, and he's throwing to CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup and Dalton Schultz. Very good pass catching trio right there. So they have the offensive line is seemingly always good for them. They've been a little bit banged up this year, but it's been good. It's been solid for them. So they have the tools to do it. And also, the NFC is probably the most wide open it's been in years. Looking at this division, it's wide open. And if they weren't stuck behind the Eagles for the division lead, we could talk about them being in the 1 seed right now. And I think I could have them beating any of these teams. So to win a playoff game or two, not out of the realm of possibility. They probably won't wind up hosting a playoff game. That probably won't happen. Just because they won't have the division. But I could see them winning a couple playoff games here. I could. And I'm sorry, I can't bring myself to use they're the Cowboys, so it'll always happen. And I probably won't ever be able to do that because it's just not. I can't analyze that.
Yes,
I need to give me something. Give me some numbers. Give me some statistics. Besides the fact, they lost a couple of years ago, so they're going to lose this year. No, don't give me that. Come on. Give me something. And I get it. I get it. This is weird. It's weird what's going on with them because I did not see them losing to the 49ers this past year. I did not, but they did.
All right.
They did. They beat them.
All right, do you want me to give you some numbers? I'll give you 17-23. Dak Prescott threw for over 4,000 yards. Ezekiel Elliott, 1,000-yard rusher. CeeDee Lamb, 1,000-yard reception. And they still lost. Micah Parsons, defensive stud. They still lost. They were still 1 and done. Dak Prescott is 1-3 in the playoffs. Kirk Cousins has a better record in the playoffs than Dak Prescott, and he's 1-1. What are we talking about here? It's the Cowboys. This is what they do. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be this way with you, Adam, but this is what they do. This is how you analyze them. Just when you give them the expectations, they never meet them. In 2016, they got knocked out in the playoffs, got 1 and done by Aaron Rodgers. Next time they were in the playoffs, they beat Seattle, but then lost to the Rams in the playoffs. The next time they were in the playoffs, they lost to the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers were not a better team than them. They just knew how to play football better than them on that day. Dak Prescott was abysmal that day. He didn't come ready to play. And because of that, they lost that game. I'm sorry. I don't trust them until playoffs come around and they're in the playoffs and they actually look competent enough to win some of these games. I'm sorry. I'll never have faith in the Cowboys because what does Stephen A. Smith always tell us? They're an accident waiting to happen. Just give it time. Jeez. Wait. They'll mess it up. And they always do. Whether it's Christmas time right before they think they're going to make the playoffs, they mess it up so they miss it. Or when they're in the playoffs, they're 1 and done. I'm sorry. I don't need statistics to know what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a collapse every single time. It's unfortunate. I don't like it. I don't like seeing it. But when it happens, I do find myself laughing at it because it's always the Cowboys it happens to. Sorry.
Listen. Every season, it's a new team. There's new faces. It's a different mentality. It's a fresh start. It's a fresh slate. They've got to do it at some point. There's got to be some point where they break through and they get over the hump and make an NFC championship. And it is funny how we're talking about an NFC championship and not make a Super Bowl. You got to get somewhere first, though. Sometimes you got to learn to walk before you learn to run. And they run when they get to the NFC championship. And then we say, okay, you're here. Let's see what you got. And they just got to do it at some point. They have to. There's no way this can continue for so long. They've got to. And it's like, and some of it's not even analytical. Actually, none of it is, but like the fact, like 2014, that NFC Championship game where there was that controversial catch call, and they were this close to getting into the end zone and taking the lead, which was late in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. And then there was the Dez Bryant catch. It looked like it was a catch, and honestly, what he shouldn't have done was try to catch the ball and then stretch for the end zone. That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to make an athletic play and catch the ball and then dive right after and get to the end zone. But what he should have done is just grabbed it and then just get to the ground. Get out of bounds too. Stop the clock. Give yourself some time. That's what they should have done. But he tried to do too much. And then there was 2016 against the bad man Aaron Rodgers himself. Again. Where Rodgers was just worked his magic, man. That doesn't even – and Dak Prescott, he competed in that game. Green Bay had the lead for most of that game. But the Cowboys stormed back and took back the lead. And then the Packers just marched right back and took it to them. Yeah. It's just they ran into a badass quarterback. Mm-hmm. And actually they ran into him twice. I'm talking about two matchups against the same team, same quarterback. I'm just saying, like, some of this, it's like, what the hell? Like, something just happened. It's like the Red Sox with their 86-year curse. Something strange happens, and you just can't explain it. And they got to break through at some point. And if they're going to do it, this is a good year to do it. I think it is. NFC's wide open. There's not much talent in this conference this year.
Except, the team that's also in their division, the Eagles. That's the number 1 seed right now.
I could see that team choking. I could see that team.
Okay. Against the Cowboys? Bigger choke than the Cowboys? All right.
Teams that start 8-0, they either make the Super Bowl and lose, or they lose in the first round, which is the divisional round. There's never an in-between.
Okay. Well, you think the Cowboys are going to knock them out? All right. I don't see it.
It's got to happen at some point. All right. But I want to move on. So we talked about one team that played on Thanksgiving and won. We'll talk about one team who lost.
You see what I'm
doing? And was on the other side of a controversial call. We thought the catch rule was gone. It's back again. The catching controversy. It's back in better than ever. We're going to get to that next. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
Hey, all right.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown!
You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. Adam Wright here with Justin Tucker. So, the Patriots lost to the Minnesota Vikings, 33-26.
Yep.
And in this loss, so what happened was, the Patriots took the lead. 23 to, what was it, 16?
I think so.
After a Hunter Henry touchdown. And then the Vikings stormed right down the field with the kickoff return. It was a 97-yard kick return for a touchdown. And by the way, side note, they missed a block in the back. Illegal block in the back.
I know you're not talking about a block in the back. We're not doing this.
We don't have to talk. We don't have to talk about that one. But the one that I do want to talk about was the following drive by the Patriots. So they marched right back down the field again, and they got to the red zone, and Mac Jones threw a touchdown to Hunter Henry on 3rd and goal. At least it seemed like that. He caught the ball, and he reached out to the goal line, went to the ground. It looked like a touchdown. However, upon taking a second look at it, it looked like the ball moved around a little bit. And which it did. It did move around a little bit. And as if we thought this touch, this is it a catch, is it not a catch BS was left behind us in 2018. No, it's back. It turns out they reversed the call and they called it incomplete. They called it an incomplete pass. And the reason being they believed that the ball hit the ground when he had the ball. When he went to the ground, the ball hit the ground and then it came out. That's the belief. But what it looked like was that Hunter Henry had his hand under the ball when it touched the ground, and he didn't lose control. And he didn't lose control until after when he was rolling around, which I believe should be a catch. That should be a touchdown, in my opinion. But like, it's just so like no one knows what a catch is. Like, is it clearly defined here? The catch rule. What is a catch? Tell me what a catch is.
It's when you catch the ball with both your hands, and once you catch it with 2 feet, you then start to go into a football act. Once you make that act, then it is what is perceived as a catch. If you can't do that and you fall to the ground, the catch has to survive the ground. That is what I've been defined as a catch. That has been the rule. I don't think it's changed that much since. The problem is there's been instances where the ball has moved, and depending on the referee that day, it will either be a touchdown or it will be incomplete. An example, the Jesse James play. The ball moved. He didn't have possession, the referees thought, and it wasn't a touchdown. The Steelers ended up losing that game. Or, as Adam brought up before the show, the Corey Clemens play. That was a touchdown.
It's not a touchdown.
It's
not a touchdown.
It's a touchdown. Or
he lost control before he got the second foot in. Not a touchdown.
He had control. Or the one Adam brought up, the Des Bryant one, where he believes he was extending the ball instead of losing possession of the ball. The point is, we don't know what a catch is. We've been having this problem for years now. I don't think the NFL truly understands what a catch is. It should be something as simple as like catching the ball, having possession of it, and then going from there. But it's not as simple as that. So unfortunately, we will always have discussions like this until a better rule is in place. But how do you adjust the rule more so than what it already is? That is the question.
All right. So it's story time. Back in 2017, when there was this is after the Des Bryant play, and there was also 2015 where there was the Odell Beckham Jr. catch that was turned into an incomplete pass when the ball was he got his second foot down, but right after it was knocked out by Malcolm Butler. That was also ruled not a catch. So then later on, so it's 2017, right? Ben Roethlisberger throws a ball to Jesse James at the goal line, and it seems like he has it. He has 2 feet down. He has the ball. He goes to the ground, and upon reaching across the plane to the goal line, the ball comes out. The ball hits the ground, and it comes out. And initially, it was not. It was like everyone's like, okay, this is a catch. This is a touchdown. Pittsburgh takes the lead. Turns out that wasn't the case. When they reviewed it, they're like, wait a second. Are they trying to rule this an incomplete pass? Turns out Jesse James did not establish himself as a runner or make a, end quote, football move. And when he came to the ground, if you don't make a football move and you go to the ground, you have to prove you have possession, which means that if the ball hits the ground and it moves at all, then it's an incomplete pass. So that's what happened. That's why they reversed the call. Then go to the Super Bowl. There's Corey Clement, who had the ball in the back of the end zone. He made his first step, bobbled the ball, then makes a second step, which turns into his first step after he bobbles the ball, right? Because he wasn't able to have the ball after one step. And then after that, he never gets the second step in. He steps out of bounds after that, which by definition is not a catch. However, the league faced so much blowback from the Jesse James call earlier on that season that they reversed the call and they said that's a touchdown. We can't give the Patriots another call that has the league has NFL fans calling for our heads.
Oh my
and that's
God.
what happened.
Yeah.
From then on, there was a concrete definition. There was a concrete definition of what a catch was. You have to make a football move. If you're not able to make a football move and you're going to the ground, then you have to make sure that you have possession of the ball. Now it's completely just what is it? What is it? Like, people know what the catch is unless it benefits the Patriots. That's what it is. That's what it is. People tried to say that the Odell Beckham Jr. catch wasn't a catch because the Patriots benefited from it. And Cowboys fans wanted to say the Dez Bryant catch was a catch, but everyone else was saying that wasn't a catch. Why? Because it was the Cowboys. Everyone hates the Cowboys.
God.
I'm just saying.
You're saying bias plays into this? Are you kidding
What I'm
me?
saying is that if a rule does not, and this works with a lot of NFL fans, if the rule does not benefit you, and you hate the call, you hate the rule, then you think that it doesn't apply to you. A lot of more rational fans in the aftermath of the Jesse James play were saying, "Well, I hate the rule, but it is what it is. I hate the rule. Let's change the rule after the season." That makes sense. A lot of people were saying, "No, I hate this rule, so it doesn't apply to me because the Patriots won the game." So then there was there was Super Bowl 52 against the Eagles. Corey Clement touchdown was not a touchdown. I will die on that hill. That is not a touchdown.
That's a touchdown. I'm not arguing with you.
It's not a touchdown. So that's the issue here. There was a clearly defined catch rule, but the league didn't like it because it became a sensitive topic. That's the problem here.
Oh, so just because it was the Patriots, you think you guys got screwed over because you're the Patriots? That's what it is?
I am saying that Hunter Henry touchdown was a touchdown. It was. I'm telling you. That was a touchdown.
I thought it was too, but the league said no. The end, when he rolled over, he was bobbling it.
Because the league so CJ and I, you saw the group chat, our fantasy football group chat, where CJ and I and Sean Howe, who's a follower of the show, we're going back and forth. He said this: the league is afraid to define what a catch is because it's going to make some fan offended. They're going to get upset. Boo-hoo, my team lost because of this rule, even though it's clearly defined, and it's not going to. And that's going to be the issue. That's the issue here. They're afraid of what the fans are going to think of the interpretation, and now we have opened a complete can of worms. They've left it open to whatever official is free on any given Sunday, and they're going to determine: do I want these fans biting my head off if I call this the right way? And that's what they did. That's what they're going to do. There is no definition for the catch rule anymore. There's no definition from it. That Hunter Henry touchdown was a touchdown. It was a touchdown. The ball did not come out until later on as he was rolling over. He started rolling over. He had possession when the ball touched. The tip of the ball did touch, but he had possession at that point. And then he rolled over, and then it comes out.
The referee is going to say because the tip touch, it forced him to bobble it. That's what they're going to say. They're going to say it was an incomplete pass. And it doesn't matter at this point.
It does
The
matter.
rule's the rule.
It does
And
matter.
that Corey
They
Clement
didn't
touchdown
go.
was a touchdown.
That was not. It's not a touch. That's not a touchdown. That is not a touchdown. I will die on that. You know what? The only thing I hate more than this call on Thanksgiving, the only one I hate more is the Clement touchdown. That's what I hate more.
Because it happened to your team on the biggest game of the year. That's why you don't.
No, it's because they decided that because the leagues face so much blowback for getting the call right, for getting it right earlier on in the season, they decided to completely neglect the catch rule because they said we can't make another call that benefits the Patriots that's controversial because everyone's going to be questioning the integrity of the league because the NFL, the league could not handle that their favorite team got destroyed by the Patriots. It's not our fault that we had the greatest quarterback of all time who was able to win games. I'm sorry, but Ben Roethlisberger.
He didn't win that game.
Ben Roethlisberger is not going to be beating out Tom Brady. I'm sorry. That's it. That's the issue.
The issue was he couldn't win that game for y'all. That's what it was. But enough about that. He did not win y'all that game.
3 touchdowns, 505 yards. Broke his own yardage record. That's it. He had an all-time great performance in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and fumbled it all away.
Okay. Nick Foles threw an interception in that game.
Yeah, still won the game.
Right.
Had a team in a position.
And he also had the refs that
now he had the refs in his pocket. No, all right.
He had the refs in his pocket. He had them in his pocket. And the fans were just they could not handle. They were too sensitive to handle the idea that maybe the Patriots are better than your team.
Okay.
That's the issue.
Okay.
Now the Patriots nowadays, they're mediocre. They're not that good. But back during their glory days, there was very little that could get in the way of them. Besides the sensitive NFL fans who think if your team is winning for an extended period of time, it must be because you're cheating or you're paying off the refs.
Oh my God.
Boo-hoo. Oh, the Jesse James touchdown. That was a touchdown. And because it wasn't ruled in my favor, it must be because you paid off the refs or because you're the Patriots and the league just wants to, favor you. Oh God. I hated NFL fans back then. Any NFL fans that weren't Patriots fans, God, you can't handle that our team is really good. So you have to try and tear down our legacy and just find some way. You had to find it's just some way. Oh, they cheated. They must have cheated.
What do you mean?
They cheated. That's why.
I can't.
It's because of Bill Belichick's system. That's why. Tom Brady's a bum. Bill Belichick. It's all him. God.
I can't.
Oh, we can't. We need to move on before I rip my hair out here.
Yeah.
But all right, we're gonna move on. That was kind of the last of our Thanksgiving coverage. But we're gonna move on to this Sunday and talk about the Chiefs, who are starting to have some injuries pile up here in this wide receiving core. We're gonna get to that next. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast.
Way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. Adam Wright here with Justin Tucker. All right. So the Chiefs at, 8-2? Top of the AFC right now. What's that?
Yes.
Top of the AFC right now. Number 1 seed. And Patrick Mahomes has been balling. 28-5 touchdown to interception ratio. Ooh. He might be my lead candidate for league MVP this year, especially with the state of that offense right now. And we're going to touch on that offense so here's the issue with them. Kadarius Toney is now out after suffering an injury during their last game. Kadarius Toney's out this week. They've been without Nicole Hardman to IR. They've missed Juju Smith-Schuster for some time with a concussion. He's coming back. But, the only guy who's been, and I've looked at this, the only significant guy out of all of these wide receivers who's been playing the entire season was Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He's the guy who's been healthy this whole time. So, Tuck, do you believe that the Chiefs can remain atop the AFC with so many teams nipping at their heels at 8-3, 7-3? Can they remain atop the AFC with the state of this banged up wide offense for the Chiefs?
Yes, they can. As long as they have Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, yes. As long as they have somebody that is able to run the ball, yes. As long as they have the play caller that is Andy Reid, yes. And I don't care who they have as a wide receiver, including Mr. 50-50 Marquez Valdes-Scantling, as you would like to call him. As long as they have those 3 people in place, I believe they can still be the number 1 seed and win out to claim that first round bye. They have the easiest schedule remaining. They still have Travis Kelce playing at a high level. Patrick Mahomes is still playing at a high level. And as long as that defense can keep them in the game, yeah, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't finish as the number 1 seed in the AFC. I don't see any particular reason why that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, so I wanted to pull up the schedule, and I showed this to you earlier on off camera here. But their schedule is, so they have 7 games left, and any game against any NFL team when you don't have the pieces on offense is tough. But still, I wanted to show this. All right, so I'm trying to find. Here's the Chiefs. Pull up the schedule. We love ESPN. ESPN is a great app. I'm being sarcastic. The ESPN app sucks. Things never load on time, especially when I'm trying to use it for my show. I like to refer to that. But here we are. All right. So this week, it's going to be a slam dunk. They have the Rams, who are going with it's a slam dunk because they're going with their 3rd string quarterback. And Cooper Kupp is out for the foreseeable future. It's a slam dunk.
I hope so.
Then they have the Chiefs, who are 6-4, up and down team, but probably among the best competition they'll get during this final stretch of the season. Then they have, what's that?
You said the 6-4 Chiefs. Who was the
6-4 Bengals? Right, my bad, misspoke. Then after that, you have the 3-7 Broncos. Need I say more? You have the 1-8-1 Texans. Need I say more?
That could be upset. That could be upset.
The Texans?
Yeah, because
with Kyle Allen,
0-3 Colts.
What's that? Oh yeah, but that was like week 1. But then you have the 6-4 Seahawks. That'll be again among the toughest competition they'll get this season. The 3-7 Broncos and the 3-7 Ravens. So besides the possibility, 3-7 Raiders. I'm striking out back and forth here, left and right. So out of the 7 games that they have left, 2 of them are against teams above 500, and it's not like it's like an 8-3 team who are among the top in their conference. 6-4. The Bengals only have the 6th seed out of 7 teams in the AFC, and that would be making the playoffs. The Seahawks currently have been knocked down all the way to the number 7 seed after the loss to the Buccaneers and after the 49ers won to go 6-4 this past week and take over first in the AFC West. So could they stay? Absolutely. Now, it only takes one upset here to just lose one of these games against one of the teams below 500. There's 5 of them. It only takes one there. Then they have 2 games against the Bengals and the Seahawks. They could lose one of those 2 games. And just by losing 2 games right there, losing one of the 5 against the sub 500 and one of the 2 against the above 500, that right there could take you out of the number 1 seed, because it's just so I'll go into the standing. The standings for the AFC, it's very, very packed. Right behind the Kansas City Chiefs are the Buffalo Bills at 8-3, who just retook the number 1 seed, or excuse me, first in the AFC East. Right behind them is the 7-3 Titans, then the 7-3 Baltimore Ravens, and right behind the Bills for the AFC East lead is the 7-3 Miami Dolphins. So if you lose just 2 games down the stretch, then one of these teams is going to leapfrog you for first in the AFC. So they don't have much margin for error. So there's good news and bad news for the Chiefs. The good news is their schedule is very soft. The bad news is if you slip up just once, then you could lose the AFC lead here. If you lose twice, you're probably out of the first seed for the rest of for the playoffs. Now, do the Chiefs need the number 1 seed to make a Super Bowl run? Probably not. They're going to get healthy eventually, this wide receiving core. And honestly, I trust Patrick Mahomes to do more with less. And they still have Travis Kelce to work with at tight end. And Andy Reid has been a pretty good signal caller. And also, the Chiefs' defense is better than it was last year. It's a solid defense. Still not a great defense, but it's good. They're a much more balanced team than they have been in years past. So do they need it? No. It'd be a nice thing to have, especially since this isn't the strongest team that they've had in years past overall. Mm-hmm. So they should be fine, but they can always slip up. This is what we were saying when we were talking about the Eagles, whether or not they were going to go undefeated. They had a soft schedule coming up, but it takes one time to slip up, and every team does. This is why there's only been 2 teams who have gone undefeated throughout an entire season. One of them was during a 16-game season, the other during 14, and now there's 17. They can easily slip up here. Mm-hmm. They have a soft schedule, but upsets happen. So I want to say they'll be fine. They'll probably lose at least 1 game here.
Yeah,
at least 1. Because it's hard to go undefeated for a 7-game stretch. But I think the Chiefs will be fine. They can make a run with or without the first seed. That's another thing that I will say.
They could, but it'd be extremely difficult with the injuries they're dealing with if that continues up. I wouldn't say they have the best run game, so it'll just be self-reliant on Patrick Mahomes just basically carrying the load to the AFC Championship game and seeing what happens from there. But I don't like them against the Titans because I'm not going to be honest. If Ryan Tannehill plays that game the last time they faced, they actually might win that game. Malik Harris just didn't pass the ball that much, and they didn't trust him to pass the ball that much. And Derrick Henry can't win it by himself. So maybe if Ryan Tannehill's in that game, it might be a different story. I'm not sure about them against Miami in Miami, and I'm not sure about them in general against the Ravens. So it'd be nice for them to have the number 1 seed if I'm a Kansas City fan. What's that smile for? What is that?
Really?
Smile?
In general against the Ravens, but if it's Tua in the Miami Dolphins, then it depends on where they're playing, right? What if the Ravens have to travel to Arrowhead?
That really makes no difference to us. We can play cold, we can play warm. It really doesn't matter. The weather conditions don't really matter to us. Maybe the atmosphere might be a problem, but again, it's not like the bank is a quiet place either. So It really doesn't matter to us. We'll play anywhere.
What about the Dolphins though?
Again, I need to see Tua in the playoffs. To be fair, he's been playing very good this season. I don't expect him to all of a sudden like croak in the playoffs. But again, he hasn't played in the playoffs yet. I want to see how he does in the playoffs before I make that decision.
That's fair, but we've already seen a lot of what Lamar's done in the playoffs.
Yeah, carry a team that doesn't have much weapons to a divisional round. I don't hold that against him that his team can't finish the deal with him.
No,
It's
just
unfortunate that your team
14-2 team
can't-
and 14-2 team in 2019 lost to a 10-6 Titans team. 10-6 or 9-7?
9-7.
Ooh.
It's not my fault my quarterback can go over 300 yards passing, over 100 yards rushing, have over 500 yards total offense, and still lose that game. I don't want to talk about it.
Right, because
Next
they
year
were
we
playing
came up
from
and corrected
behind.
that.
Your stats are going to be spiked up when you're playing from behind the whole game.
Again, the
And you
next
also
year we
turned the
came
ball
back
over
and
4
corrected that
times.
mistake. The next year we came back and corrected that mistake. So let's not do that. Let's not do that.
All right. While we're starting to get off the topic, let's move on to our fantasy football segment where we are going to give you your Week 12 stardom situms. That's right. We're already at Week 12 of the fantasy season, and this is a time where it gets very, very crucial on who you start and sit, and we got you covered. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the the Fumblerooski podcast. Jeez.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
This is the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Secret Weapon Consulting. Adam Wright here with Justin Tucker. So we have no guest on today, which means our Friday episode has no guest segment, meaning the Fumblerooski Fantasy Fix is our last segment. So here we go. We have our Week 12 stardom situms. As always, we start with the running back position, and we're going to go with Michael Carter versus Chicago and Jeff Wilson Jr. versus Houston. For sits, we have Cordero Patterson at Washington and Brian Robinson versus Atlanta. For wide receivers, we are going to start Amari Cooper versus Tampa Bay and also Juju Smith-Schuster versus LA. Get him in your starting lineup. For sits, Michael Pittman versus Pittsburgh and Brandon Cooks at Miami. For tight ends, we are going to start Pat Freiermuth at Indianapolis and Hayden Hurst at Tennessee. As for the sits, Cole Kmet at New York Jets and Evan Engram at Baltimore. For quarterbacks, we are going to start Jimmy Garoppolo versus New Orleans and Tom Brady at Cleveland. We're going to sit Trevor Lawrence versus Baltimore and Matt Ryan versus Pittsburgh. For defense and special teams, we're going to start the Chiefs versus LA and Commanders versus Atlanta. For sits, we have Bears at New York Jets and Cardinals versus Los Angeles Chargers. So there you have it. Our stardom situms for Week 12. But Tuck, any other thoughts before we end the show tonight?
Man, I can't let it go. I'm pissed now. I can't believe you brought up the Titans and that damn divisional round against us. But I won't let you forget. Who did they beat to get to the divisional round?
Who'd they beat? The Titans?
Yeah, who'd they beat to make it to us?
Oh, it was the Patriots. That was a bad Patriots team. That was a bad.
Now it's a 12-4 team. It's a bad Patriots team. All right.
They started 8-0, and it was such a paper 8-0. People were talking about Do you remember the way people were talking about that Patriots defense?
Yes,
calling them the
one of
boogeymen.
greatest of all time.
One of the best defensive of all time. They were drawing comparisons to the 85 Bears.
Yeah. And then they faced off against us, and they really knew what it was about.
And they got just absolutely crucified. They got demolished. They gashed that Patriots defense. It was not that good of a Patriots. The problem with that team was, so it was still a really good defense. It was a Super Bowl winning defense. Granted that you have something on the offensive side of the ball. You have Tom Brady with no one to throw to. You had old Josh Gordon. You had Antonio Brown for a game where the offense actually looked pretty good. That was it. And then Julian Edelman, who's good, but he's a wide receiver too, and he's a slot receiver. There's only so much you can do when you have that. And then obviously, Rob Gronkowski retired. What are they doing with Devin Asiasi? And what's the other? Keen? I don't even remember.
Who
the hell was that guy? Who?
Benjamin Watson.
Oh, I remember Benjamin Watson. Wasn't he the season prior though?
No.
Or did they have him? Yeah, but he didn't do much. His best days were behind him.
Yeah.
And it was just, that was an overrated Patriots team. But we do need to end the show tonight. Anything else?
No, I'm good. I'm solid
right.
now. I'm good.
All right, cool. That'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. We have new episodes out on Tuesdays and Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have all our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and so much more. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and the latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Over and out.